The forces of Special Operations of Ukraine continue the destruction of the logistics of the occupiers on occupied territories. On the night of December 8, units of the Special Forces made a successful attack by UAVs on hostile targets in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. In Donetsk, drones of the Special Forces hit the formation of 9 OMSB-51A. A significant amount of reconnaissance and attack UAVs of the tactical level, as well as combat units for them, were stored in the warehouse. In Luhansk region, in Symykyno province, the fuel tanks of GSM-GV South was burnt. As a result of the strike, tanks of about 6,000 cubic meters of fuel were destroyed. Special Operations Forces continue to take asymmetric actions to undermine the offensive capabilities of the Russian army. Ukrainian troops struck multiple Russian energy, military and logistic targets in Ukraine's occupied territories on the night leading to December 8, the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on Monday. An ammunition depot was hit in the area of Kmirivka in eastern Luhansk region in an attempt to disrupt Russia's logistics system, while a warehouse storing Russian UAVs was struck near occupied Donetsk region. Moreover, a fuel depot belonging to a Russian unit was struck near Symykyno in Luhansk with the aim to cut Russians' ability to store and transport fuel and lubricants. A mobile fire group and a Panzer S-1 surface-to-air missile system were hit in Donetsk region. The extent of damage caused by the attacks has yet to be confirmed. In addition, the General Staff provided an update on a drone strike on Temryutsky seaport on Russia's southern Krasnodar region on December 5. As a result of the attack, 20 storage tanks amounting to 70% of the total number of tanks were destroyed in the seaport. A fire continues to burn at the liquefied gas loading ramp, where around 24 rail tankers are located. By Sunday evening, the fire covered nearly 1,000 square meters of area. Furthermore, the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces stressed that the country's defense forces continue taking measures to undermine the military and economic potential of the Russian occupiers and compel the Russian Federation to cease its armed aggression against Ukraine.
The command of the occupying army of the aggressor country, Russia, is concealing actual losses in the Pokrovsk direction in an interesting way. This was reported by the Atesh resistance movement on Telegram. Agents within the 30th Separate Mechanized Brigade are documenting a systematic practice in which, after suffering massive losses, Russian command deliberately labels 200 occupiers as those who voluntarily abandoned their unit. The actual number of Russian casualties is so high that the command decided to take this step to avoid claims from hundreds of families of liquidated occupiers. The brigade has already created separate lists of the names of those supposedly fleeing but actually killed. Over the past year, the number of fictitious spare parts companies has increased exponentially, as an entire team could be assembled from them. Soldiers understand that they can be written off as deserters at any moment, even if they're killed in action. This causes fear, aggression, and a rapid decline in morale. Discipline is disintegrating, command is distrusted, and the unit's combat effectiveness deteriorates with each new assault. Attaché agents described the situation in the Russian brigade. According to Sergei Okishev, spokesman for the 7th Rapid Reaction Corps of the Ukrainian Airborne Assault Troops, the occupying army of the aggressor country, Russia, is stuck in urban combat and is unable to capture Pokrovsk. Heavy gunfire continues in the city, and the Russian forces are attempting to cut off Ukrainian military logistics routes to two settlements, Mirnorad and Pokrovsk. The enemy is practically stuck in urban combat and is unable to capture Pokrovsk with weapons. Currently, the enemy's main efforts are aimed at cutting off our logistics routes. Meanwhile, the defense forces are working to expand these logistics routes specifically to the cities of Pokrovsk and Mirnorad, the military officer emphasized. Okishev noted that despite pressure from the enemy, the defense forces are rotating personnel on foot and delivering ammunition, water, and food using large drones and rocket launchers. According to military political analyst and co-founder of the public initiative Right Cause, Dmitry Snegirev, the occupation of the city of Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region by Russian troops will be a Pyrrhic victory for the enemy due to significant losses among the occupation forces. The Russian military itself is already drawing parallels with Bakhmut and admitting that the scale of their losses doesn't correspond to the results obtained. In the last 2 months alone, the Russian army has lost over 20,000 men in the Pokrovsk sector, roughly the same number as the Wehrmacht lost during the occupation of Poland in World War II. According to the latest military data, Ukrainian soldiers are conducting search and assault operations and eliminating the enemy in the urban area of Pokrovsk.